sharing some new content in January, and the new show is going to be called The Real Deal. In the meantime, I don't know if you've watched Shaw, but my show with Marlon Bartram of the Right to Live Society has been on repeat over and over and over again, and it's been driving some people crazy. So I apologize for that. Just trying to get some fresh content for January. In the meantime, we will be adding a new show, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's cold in the Okanagan. There's snow. It's minus 18, and there are people right now living on the streets. Our shelters are at capacity, and a lot of people are displaced right now. And during this time, the city has enacted a bylaw. Well, they've changed the bylaw to make it so that the people that are on our sidewalks are being ticketed $50 for being homeless, basically. And that's had a lot of residents up in arms. And so we're trying to get to the bottom of it. So my friend Angie and I decided, instead of sitting around a table discussing the homeless issue in the Okanagan, we'd head down to the streets and find out at the heart of it what the issue really is.
My name is Lawrence East. I'm the lead pastor at Metro Community. We've been involved in caring for the most vulnerable and the homeless in our city for probably the past decade.
So is anybody still sleeping outside at this point? Do you know?
I sure hope not. I think at this point, if anyone's sleeping outside, they're in danger of dying. You know, with a wind chill, anything below minus 15, you're in mortal danger.
So why aren't you guys in the shelter?
Because I had a place.
Oh, you're okay. So who's staying out here tonight?
Majority of people here.
Well, so far I am. We need gloves over here.
I remembered the situation when it was.
After the doors to the Kelowna Gospel Mission had closed for the night, and with donated supplies in hand, my producer Doug, my friend Heather, and I hit the streets to find out who was left behind in the cold without shelter. I wanted to find out firsthand what these people were going through, what they needed, and what we as a community could do to tangibly help. It's like 5 seconds out here and I'm freezing, you guys. Where are you staying? And why aren't you inside the Gospel Mission?
Orlando? Indiana?
Because we're going down it.
Yeah, what kind of drugs?
Crack meth and heroin.
Yeah. How old are you?
20.
20? How'd you get here?
Both my parents died. This is my sob story, but
Yeah.
grew up in Oak Albany, that's what it
Where are you
is.
from?
Kelowna. I'm from here. My family was from here.
Yeah.
They
Do
had
you
a
have
meat
any family
business.
here?
Yeah, my grandma.
Where is she?
Rutland. I can't be with her because of the drug addiction stuff. I used to be real manipulative.
Ton of blankets in there.
Stealing stuff and...
Getting her taken around the world. Until I learned to kill myself.
I've never been in this position. I was staying in a house on the church property of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and the pastor threw us out.
Why?
Well, because we had we didn't have a lot of money.
Kelowna has a disproportionate homelessness issue. There's no question of that. And why? I think it's because of our location, because seasonal migration tends to attract people here with the hope of getting jobs in the summer in the wineries and the vineyards and the orchards. But for the most part, I think it's a very wealthy culture and it attracts people. We're also one of the first places that the community from the downtown east side in Vancouver come to when they're trying to escape something. So we are a very sort of tangible, accessible place for people who are vulnerable and needy to come to. But saying that, we also have deep pockets. We have deep resources. And I don't know if we are really truly exercising them to the level that we could to care for our most vulnerable citizens. And I'm not just speaking about homeless people. I'm speaking about our senior citizens, 55 plus, and especially people with mental health issues.
Mental illness is prevalent in this population, and by hiding these people or kicking them off the streets or hoping they go to a different city, that's not fixing the problem, that's just putting a Band-Aid over it.
So what is the one need that people that are out here looking for?
Affordable housing. There is no, even if you have money, you can't rent a place in Kelowna. There is no such thing as affordable housing, especially for single people. People with families, yeah, okay, 2-3 bedrooms you can rent, but single housing, impossible.
If you had housing, how could that change your life?
I'd get my sanity back. That's a really big thing around here. It's very close quarters. Everybody's cramped. Everybody's on edge. Yeah, it's not a fun situation to be in.
How long have you been without a home for?
This time around, probably a year and a half now.
So this time around, there's been other times?
Yeah.
For how long?
Like different lengths. Like the last time it was probably about 6 months or so.
Have you ever had to sleep outside in the cold?
Yeah. I actually do it all the time, so.
Are you doing that right now?
Yeah.
So I think it was minus 20 last night. How did you keep warm?
Lots of blankets.
It's pretty much like every day it's like a restart of getting like everything we need, because like as much as we have like our like sense of community and family, there are people that steal in like desperation and like the addict mind taking over and shit. So and it's constant, you know.
There are some people that, go by the simple rule of paying it forward, right? But there's others that'll just take and take and take, and you ask them for something and they're just like, oh no. Like, I'm kind of the opposite way. I give more than I keep myself, so like.
So how are you guys handling being out in the cold? Have you guys anyone gotten ticketed yet?
Yep. A few people, yeah. It depends on who's working. The cops aren't really into it too much.
How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's ridiculous.
I think it's the most ridiculous.
I think that as long as we can keep our like space organized and we don't take up the whole sidewalk, I mean, where are we to go? We ask them constantly, like different places, and they don't provide us any answers.
The bylaw changed from my understanding, and those who were sleeping outside, those who were leaving garbage around, those businesses that those people slept outside were going to be getting fines. What council has done is rather than giving the gospel mission a bunch of fines, they were giving the individuals who are leaving garbage, who are defecating, who are sleeping outside, they're giving them the fines. So I understand their decision to do that, and in a way I do support that, but there's no place to put these people,
and I don't. And my issue is I understand the need to do this because of course we don't want people that are coming to their businesses and seeing feces and urine on their doorstep. That's unacceptable. But what's more unacceptable is, why are these people out here in the first place? And why aren't these people why don't they have access to clean bathrooms? Why don't they have access to housing? Why don't they have, warm clothes even on? Some of these people that we're talking to don't even have gloves on or proper winter coats. They don't have blankets. Like that we can start there.
Absolutely.
The realities are, for most people, it's just sort of out of sight, out of mind. So the reality for somebody who's homeless is that if the shelter beds are full, there is no other option. But there is a law that allows citizens of this country to have access to public spaces. This particular kind of bylaw has been overturned by the Supreme Court of British Columbia as it violates Section 7 of the Charter of Rights. Insofar that if there are no viable alternatives for people, then they need to have that freedom.
We've been talking a lot about what the people on the streets think. We tried to reach out to the city to get comment, but they have a lot on their plate before the holidays and couldn't get back to us on camera until January. In the meantime, they have issued a statement, which I'll read for you. In light of recent media reports by some news outlets that did not include comment from the City of Kelowna, I would like to personally respond to concerns being raised regarding a recent bylaw change pertaining to sidewalks. I want to be abundantly clear that the City of Kelowna is not targeting people sleeping on our streets with the purpose of harassing or incarcerating our most vulnerable residents. Fines may be issued, but we know in many cases collection is not possible, nor realistic. This is a complex social issue being targeted by a number of committed local organizations that do good work to help those in need. Outside of hiring a social development manager, city staff already participate in a number of community projects and strategies to address homelessness and other associated social issues.
There's various reasons why we all stay outside, right? Like, I have social anxiety myself, so it's kind of hard for me to be in situations like this.
We have one shelter that's open all year round, and even that is limited in space, and they have all these restrictions and rules and stuff, and it's hard. Like, a lot of us are out here, pretty much all of us, because we're addicts, so coming in at like 8 o'clock at night is difficult. Like, a lot of us physically depend on like our drugs, like heroin addicts and stuff. We have like withdrawals, we get sick.
Right.
Alcoholics, they get sick.
So what's the answer? How can people actually tangibly help
What
get
we
you guys off the
need
street?
is
Somewhere to go.
to be provided and directed towards the right resources, which we don't have. Like, we are so limited with like, you know, like programs and like
They're not the Hope Ladies.
recovering houses and like, I mean, basically they try to like categorize us all as criminals and red zone us.
Yeah,
Because you guys get separated.
yeah. There's no couples
There's no
shelters.
co-ed. There's no co-ed shelters.
Yeah, and
So
like
then
Even the
couples are
gospel
separated.
is separated, right?
yeah, so we
girls
know a
sleep
lot
on
of-
one side,
a lot of
guys
couples
on the
won't-
other.
won't go
I
in the
like-
shelters. Separate.
They've put people on red zones because they're sitting on a f***ing sidewalk, and we're not allowed down here where the
Where
only
this
place
the
we
only
get
shelter.
fed, the only place we have shelter, we can't be down here without this f***ing exemption letter, which is only for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Or we get ticketed, we go to jail, and we're not, like, not everyone's a criminal. We go to jail, we get kicked right back out, back to the same lifestyle, back to the same shit, back
So it's
into
just like a
It's
endless
a
it's a
cycle.
cycle
never-ending
because they
cycle.
don't. We need like housing, like those like what's it called? Transitional like housing when you get released.
More than just when you
yeah,
get out of
so
jail.
you can like actually get somewhere, because all it does is just constantly put us right back in the same fucking position.
Even the low income
Yeah.
that's being built right now is $400 a month for rent, which is $375 is what you're given for your rental allowance. This is on assistance, not disability, right?
Yeah.
Which means that you're taking $25 out of your food money just to pay for low income housing,
Yeah.
right?
And then
which is
what do you
still
have left for
235, so now it's down to 215, or no, sorry, 210 is what you have to live on for the rest of the month.
There's a polar bear statue that costs how many millions of dollars to fucking build, and they can't give us a couple more shelters. They can't give us one 24-hour, like every day of the year, fucking place where we can go to be safe. Like, we don't have we don't have a safe injection site. We don't have
We have to move back and
anything.
forth
Yeah.
3 times a day minimum, just inside here, so that they can clean the tables and the floors.
If sometimes some of the staff, if we are sitting on the sidewalk on this side of the road, they will bar us from going into the mission to eat and
Which
stuff.
means people that can afford to buy food don't eat unless somebody else goes in for them and
Which
gives up
risks
their
them
meal.
getting barred too.
Although we have deep pockets, the question is, how are we using those resources? Is there an efficient and collaborative approach to these problems? First, I think it's important to note that people aren't problems. People have complex issues. 90% of people who are on the street have a diagnosed mental health issue. That creates a really complex issue. Of that number, a high proportion have childhood trauma, have been through the foster care system. So there's a great deal of complexity. So when you talk about applying the resources that the city might have residing within it, and I'm not sure we've really tapped those resources yet to a greater extent, I would say that we haven't really had a solid collaborative approach that is sort of with a really sort of strategic plan that implements that. We have a lot of great organizations pursuing their own missions in the absence of a greater plan, and we need that.
You want to hear my story?
I'd love to hear it. Come on in.
All right.
So what's your name?
My name is Peter Zahara, and I'm subject of false accusations. And
What kind of false accusations?
I got an argument with the principal, and instead of getting help, family counseling, the principal called up, and now my family, they said I can't live with my family, and I'm not taking my money away from my family, so we got a house, $3,000 that me and my wife have to put together for bills, and I'm not allowed to live there, so there's the only alternative is streets, this place, if there's room.
And is there room?
No.
So have you had to sleep outside at all?
Well, I've been there, yeah. And it's sad. And the government, instead of instead of ripping families apart, maybe put them through counseling, that'd be a better alternative.
You had one message for City Council on the mirror. What would it be?
Build some affordable housing. Everybody here needs it. Get us off the streets.
So what's your guys' main need out here?
Warm.
Pack-sack?
Enclosed shelter.
When you're walking downtown, at least if you can't give them blankets or gloves or socks or things that they actually need, give them respect. You know, treat them like they're human beings with dignity, and that can go a long way.
A lot of us do try, and people view us as just like scumbags of the earth.
Do they treat you like that when you're walking by?
Oh,
all
a lot of people. Yeah. You might ask for some change for the bar people at night, and they look at us and laugh and they walk by and stuff. And
Where are your families?
A lot of us don't get along with families. A lot of us don't have families.
And how do you?
A lot of us are.
This is our family, really.
A lot of you are adoptees?
People that aren't fortunate enough to have a place to stay because all the shelters are full, what do you think the city needs to do to help those people?
Well, I know myself that this last weekend I spent outside.
You did?
-15, yes I did. I spent outside. I spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights outside, and it was so cold.
And where'd you sleep?
I didn't sleep.
Well, and there's a new bylaw that's saying that you get ticketed if you are outside and you're not, if you're on the streets.
For me, I found a little spot outside the back of the hospital. There's a 2-foot by 3-foot exhaust vent that blows hot air.
Oh.
And I camped in front of that for a couple hours to warm up, and I did that every, 4 or 5 hours. Walked back to the hospital and warmed up.
It's so cold. It's like -18. We both are freezing, and I had to come in my car to warm up, so that shows you I can't handle the cold.
I can't either. My hands are frozen.
I don't know what the answer is, but I'm suggesting we start some communication.
It's not this.
And try to help them out. You know, Lisa and I both get to go back to our home tonight. It's going to be nice and warm. We're going to have food in there, and these amazing souls are all staying here. The number one thing they've all said is housing. So what I personally have a challenge for people is if you have an extra room, I ask you to rent it. And I'm not suggesting that you rent it to someone who is homeless, but I'm encouraging you to put it out there for rent. I personally have a person living in my home that was a student who was living in the shelter. So a student, an international student that's come here to go to school that can't find housing. I have another fellow who is living in his vehicle, found them a place. So if we can be conscious and be okay with sharing our space with some really great people in town, that will make the other rooms more affordable and more available. So I encourage you, if you have that opportunity, if you're comfortable with it, please consider doing that.
So just tell me about what got you into the Metro.
So Metro really first began about 10 years ago when I was downtown and I was trying to come to terms with the needs of the vulnerable community, the street-based community, and trying to understand what was going on so that I could make a difference. And the truth was, I was a reluctant participant. I wasn't really sure that this was the right place for me to be, but as I got to know people, I kind of fell in love with the community and realized that they are deeply misunderstood. I think one of the catalytic moments for me was when I came across a woman late at night. I was handing out blankets and coats and stuff out of my truck, and I found a woman in an alcove, and she was just in a tank top, and she was huddled in an alcove of a building, and she was freezing to death. It was a night like tonight. It was about -15, -20, and she was just huddled in this doorway screaming, and she was coming off crystal meth, and she was just desperate for water, and she was waiting for her boyfriend, who was also her pimp, to come back and give her more crystal meth. But she was dying of hypothermia, and I ended up calling an ambulance and trying to get her to come to the hospital, and she was reluctant at first, but eventually she came, and we managed to save her life. And I say we, I didn't have much to do with it, they did the work, but it really changed my life, because I think I went home to my warm bed and my warm house, and I sat in my study, and I had a moment of conviction, a moment of, I guess you could call it an epiphany. It was my Jerry Maguire bad pizza moment. I wrote a manifesto, I sent it to everybody I knew, and I just said, where is the church? Where is the church? If nothing is spoken more of in the Bible, with the exception of personal salvation, than caring for the poor, than caring for that girl, then where is the church? Where are all these people who say they believe in this? And so we embarked upon a journey trying to live out that message. And Metro today is largely that, a church of people from all walks of life, learning to live together, but believing deeply in the call of justice, and that we are to live our lives among those who are less fortunate than us, and to learn deeply in that exchange and to make a difference in the world.
What's the solution? How can we help as a city and as a community? How can we help people that are displaced, especially during the holidays when we're supposed to be all, helping each other? And
well, that's interesting you should bring that up, because I don't believe in Christmas. I'm thinking of this as the Christ season. And if we start as this as being the Christ season for 30 days of the year, then we can turn it into the Christ is the reason for every season.
I think that the one thing that we found, there's so much camaraderie and community down here. And, a lot of them have a really hard time at Christmas.
This time of year is kind of rough for me and a lot of other people as well. So, it's kind of tough around the holidays. Just because, when you're growing up, you're used to having your family around and all that. And, most of us have kids that, we can't see or don't see. And it makes it a little tougher, right? So
I know everybody else has their own story down here. And you know what? I hang out with these people, and nobody else complains about their pain, and nobody ones up saying my pain is more than yours, because everybody's dealing with their own stuff.
We all gather together and keep warm that way, right? Mm-hmm. Or share blankets or do whatever we can to just stay warm.
You watch and you see us, and there's someone doesn't have a blanket on, one of us will come and make sure they're warmed up because we care.
At the end of the day, we may not always have what we want, but we pretty much have what we need.
And there's a lot of good people down here.
What's your name? Peggy. Hi, Peggy. How's it going? Could I have some Kleenex?
Addicts, and we have other
some chocolate.
Our own pirate.
What did you say? That's okay. Chocolate. How's your neck going? Are you okay? You got warm gloves? I have used a pair of gloves always. I have a pair of socks always. Oh, look at that. Warm socks.
I mean, they have a plan and coming up that's about 16 to 18 months away with the city. But when it's minus 18 degree weather out here and it's life or death for these people, we need a solution like yesterday.
As Angie and I warmed up in her car, driving through the streets of Kelowna, talking about our experiences, what we had seen, people we had talked to, things we had learned, the gravity of this whole situation with the homelessness in Kelowna really started to sink in with me. And I felt so helpless. And, I've decided to call my show The Real Deal coming in January. And so when I got home, I made this video and I posted it to my Facebook page. I named my show The Real Deal because I wanted to show the real deal, what's really happening in the world, and through an uncensored, unfiltered, unbiased way. And tonight, my friend Angie and I wanted to get to the bottom of this issue in Kelowna about homelessness and people that are getting fined or ticketed $50 if they're on the sidewalks or the streets. And I wanted to find out why they were on the streets in the first place. So we went there and we interviewed them, and it was like minus 18 outside, and there were so many people outside with no toques, no gloves, no blankets. And I'm sorry, none of their requests were unreasonable. All they asked for was housing, affordable housing. They asked for water. They asked for gloves and socks and blankets. That's it.
They weren't asking us for money. They didn't ask us for anything unreasonable. And after we finished filming, Angie dropped me off at home, and I just felt like the weight of the world just kept crashing down on me. So I went through my house and I collected everything. Like, I had an old backpack that I traveled Europe with, and I had blankets and some pillows that I don't use, and some ladies and men's boots. And I went down there, and the reason why I'm crying is because everyone's so scared of these people, but they're so thankful, they're so nice. And I just parked and they took everything just so, I'm sorry. They were so grateful, and I just see everyone, you know, so focused on stupid stuff and doing their Christmas shopping and, you know, having this holiday spirit, while these people in our town are freezing outside. And there was like 20 of them at 9 o'clock at night outside, sitting outside, and they're not even legally allowed to sit outside anymore, and all the shelters are full. So this is the real deal. This is unacceptable. We need to do better, and we need to do something right now. If you have any blankets, gloves, the one woman was asking for Vaseline or something for their exposed skin from being outside so long. They need that, and Band-Aids for their cracked skin. They need warm boots, they need warm socks, and they need bottled water, and they need you to bring it to them. If you see, there are lots of resources in Kelowna and area that do help a lot of these people, but a lot of these shelters are full, and all that stuff is in the shelters with the other people that are accepted. In the meantime, a lot of people are on the street right now that don't have any of those things, and I just witnessed it firsthand, and they just said, bring the supplies to us, and that's what I did. It was not scary. I was by myself, and there was like 20 people there, and not once did I feel threatened or scared or anything. All I saw was just people who are struggling, that really, really, really desperately need us to hear them and listen and to do something about this, because we can't just go into our cozy warm houses and shut our doors and just act like this isn't happening, because it is. And if one person here dies because we're just turning a blind eye, we're all responsible.
I don't know if you've ever been down and experienced homelessness firsthand like we did, but it's heavy. It's a lot to take in and take on, and I honestly cried the entire way home. Just thinking about these people on our streets in a city of abundance like Kelowna. You know, we don't want to, you know, add to the problem, and sometimes when we think that we're being helpful and giving, we're actually creating a bigger issue. Doug mentioned to me earlier just, you know, about the issue when things like in Haiti, when we're like, oh, let's give them all these clothes and stuff, and then they have all this garbage to have to dispose of. We can't assume we know what these people need. They have to tell us what they need, and the best people to help with that are the people that are already doing the job, like the women's shelter in Kelowna, Gospel Mission, In From the Cold, just to name a few. Those places, and the Kelowna Food Bank, of course, those places, if you donate financially to them, they can buy things in bulk, and they know what their community needs, because they're walking in this every single day. So if you can do anything besides, of course, being respectful and kind to these people, donate financially if you can to these organizations. Thank you for watching, and this is The Real Deal. It's going to be coming in January more consistently, so make sure to like our Facebook page. If you want to be a part of the show, email us at dougandlisashow@gmail.com. We'll have updates. We're going to have music, wine, real issues that are affecting our community. You know, it's a show by the people, for the people. A lot of people here are volunteers, and you're welcome to join us in any capacity that you see fit, and we see fit. So thanks for watching.
Like, I've been outside for like 15 minutes and I'm literally freezing my butt off.
Well, you know, if you're out longer, you get stronger skin too, right?
Oh, right.
So,
I'm just going to need to toughen up.
a little bit maybe, right? It's okay. Anyways,
Toughen up, princess.
thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Thank you.